Page 36, Take Me Out to the Ball Game. This is what we call an ensemble piece. That is, a group of people are going to play the song at the same time. Each one has their own parts. If you're in a class situation, this is great because multiple people can play the same part at the same time. It's okay. They've labeled the parts, 1, 2, 3, 4. That was nice of them. Gives you a chance to see what music looks like when it's more than just one piano playing. All of these are for piano, although if you have a different instrument, you could play some of these other parts also, depending on what the instrument is. I mean, if you have a flute or an oboe or a violin or something like that, you can just read it. Part 2 would work for you just fine. If you have a trombone or a cello or something, part 4 would work just fine. You have to be careful because some instruments transpose, and that messes it up. So you have to have a concert keyed instrument to be able to do that and play what's written. However, let's talk about this piece for piano. I'm going to start with part 1. I'm going to go through them all, but part 1 first. 3/4 time, no sharps or flats, and you're only using one hand, although you can split this up between 2 hands if you want. So it's like here at the beginning, you got 1, 2, 3. It's an octave. Well, if you played here, you could use both hands. Just play, the fingering would be all different. So it's like 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, like so. You could do that. However, for the purpose of the video, I'll go ahead and do what they've written in one hand here, right hand, 2, because you could play this with the left hand too, you know. Scrunch up 5th finger to 2nd finger, and then here. So you're not in the 5-finger position. You can pretty much forget 5-finger positions. They come along occasionally, but not that much. Now you have a rest at the end of the line. It gives you a chance to move down. It's the little finger. G sharp. That's a G natural because that sharp sign in the previous measure is only good for that measure. That's it. So this is a natural. 2, 3. Then reach up, 2nd finger. Now here, this is the last measure on page 36. You got to cross over 3rd finger. You got to be able to do this. And don't be twisting around or doing something. You just relax. Relax, and the hand can move over the thumb to a certain extent. I mean, you can come out here if you need to, and just relax. And if you're practicing the scales, this comes in handy because this is the kind of thing you'll get in scales. You won't get skipping a note. You get that in the arpeggios, but still, if you can do 1, you can do 2. Then on page 37, starts out the same as it did on page 36. 5th finger. Now here, watch this. 3rd thumb under that. Now this is part of the C major scale. Right there, 1, 2. Then the last line is 1, 2, 3, and then 4th finger. 4th finger again. And then cross over for the F sharp. Like so. I'd say left hand, but there is no left hand. Part 2. Part 2 is harmony. And they're telling you to play part 2 an octave higher. So whoever has part 2, just pretend middle C went up here. And instead of here, play it up here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And just stay right here. 2nd line. Now you have a rest at the end of the 1st line so you can move up. Just move up 1. So the 2nd finger now is 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now F sharps and the 2nd finger. So scrunch up a little. And all 3 of these Fs are F sharp. Then come back down, 3rd, just lift up and move. Just between phrases. Last line on page 37, you're up here. F sharp, and then the next measure it's an F natural, because that sharp is only good for that measure. And C for the last note. Doesn't matter which hand you use to play it. The finger numbers given in the book are for right hand, but you could just as easily play. If you're on the same keyboard and you're playing it, it might be easier for you to use left hand. So you could do it here. Because you'd be up here. You wouldn't be sitting in the middle of the keyboard. You'd be up to the top part. Part 3, you're down here in the bass. You need a second keyboard for this one, because these notes are in the way of part 1. They're using these notes, so this takes a different keyboard. If you think about it, these are just broken chords. You got the 1 chord, 5/7 chord, 1 chord. So you can work these things out, the chords out. Part 3 isn't that bad. Otherwise, then a teacher, somebody's got to play that for you. Then part 4 is the bass down here. And it says play it an octave lower. So in that case, you're going to pretend middle C goes down an octave here. And so this C, that first note, instead of here, is down here. And the finger numbers given are for the left hand. And they're all dotted half notes. Just play them legato as best you can, except for the rest. That's no big deal until you get to the end at the bottom of page 37. On the first line, you're starting out the same, but then on the 2 C's, it's a 2 and then a 1. That way you can reach the F. And then the last line is an F sharp. And just stay in this position. Reach up with the thumb. Thumb again, and then octave down. If you have a short keyboard and you can't do that, you just play it however low you can go, and that's it. Now, it's kind of hard to do the duet part because there's 4 different parts and they really need multiple keyboards. I'll do a play with me for part 1. But the other parts, I'm going to leave it up to you because they're doable, except for part 3. You may have to work on that. But let's do part 1 together. Make sure and lift up between each phrase. Just lift up just a little bit so there's just a little bit of sound. You get the idea, I hope. I'll give us 3 counts just to make sure we got the melody correct. So go ahead and put your right hand here to start, because that's where we are. Here we go. I'll give us 3 counts. Did I say that? I can't remember. 1, ready, go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Tie, 2, rest. 1, 2. 2, 3, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Tie. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Tie, 2, rest.